What's up guys, Josh Rockstark here, and I want to do something a little different. I want to count down the top 5 best games of 2020, or my personal top 5 I should say. I haven't played everything this year, but I have definitely played a ton of games this year. 2020 may not be a great year in terms of everything else, but when it comes to gaming, 2020 is definitely one to remember. Before we jump in, I just want to say that a new episode of Trophy Hunters will be coming in the new year. I am working on it and I want to take my time on it because it's going to be a very big episode, very involved. As well, I will be excluding Cyberpunk 2077 from this list. The reason I'm mentioning it is because as of what I've played so far, I would have put this on the list. It is a very, very good game, but I got the game late and I'm still working on the game as we speak. But I just wanted to let you guys know, bugs and all, I would still put this on my list. 2 quick honorable mentions before we jump in. I want to give a shout out to Crash 4, It's About Time. Didn't quite make the list, but I still had a great time with it. Story was great, levels were great. I really loved the characters. I just put it down when I was done and I didn't really feel like I wanted to go back and do everything, especially to get to 106% completion. Will I ever do it? Maybe, but as of now, I didn't really feel like going back to it. And the other one is Astro's Playroom. There was not a moment playing this game where I didn't have a smile on my face. This game, running for about 4 to 5 hours, was absolutely amazing, and I definitely want to check out Astrobot's Rescue Mission now. I have a VR headset, so I can. It's just a matter of time before I go in and jump in and play that. But starting with number 5, my favorite studio of all time came through this year with a great title. This game is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Loved it. What a great game. They took what they were building already for Miles Morales in the first game and just gave him his own game. It is very similar to the original game, especially right down to the New York City, and the story is shorter, but the game improves on the original in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to dealing with side missions, and the new abilities and tech are just really cool. Insomniac did a great job making Miles feel different than Peter Parker with all the abilities and all the tech. And overall, playing 2 playthroughs of this game for the platinum was super easy. I didn't even have to think about it. I was just having so much fun playing this game, and 2 playthroughs went by just like that. So that's why it definitely makes it on the list, and I'm putting it at number 5. Number 4 is the first of 2 remakes that are going to be on this list. The first one is Mafia Definitive Edition. Now, Definitive Edition is a loaded term, especially with the way they used it on the Mafia trilogy that just came out. It's essentially a remake of the first game that came out on the PS2. And it's easy to think about this game as just a new coat of paint, but that would be so misinformed because there's so much that they did to this game while keeping true to the game itself, but the little things add up to making this game much better than the original. They do things like altering the dialogue just slight enough that it gives new context to what they're saying. And the new voices and new production of it just makes everything feel just different than the original game. It gives it more life, and really they took that original groundwork and made it better, a little bit more refined, and made it so the sum of the parts just add up to an incredible experience that I hope you guys check out. Me being a fan of the second game, Mafia 2, and never really going back to see what this game looked like, well, I'm glad I got to experience it in this way, and that's why it's at number 4. Number 3 felt like the grand return of the king, the incredible beat-em-ups that were from the 1990s on the Sega Genesis. I'm talking about the Streets of Rage series, and specifically Streets of Rage 4. This game has been a long time coming, with the last game coming out in 1994. That's a total of 26 years ago. Finally got someone to make the amazing sequel. This was everything I was hoping for in the sequel. We got the iconic style of gameplay, but with new tweaks and new strategies. The ranking system at first threw me off, and I completely said to myself, wow, I don't like this. This is way too hard to get an S rank. But then when we actually put the time in and we got good at the game, we being myself and my girlfriend, we played this together, and then we beat the game and got the platinum trophy. We loved every moment of it. We put in over 100 hours into this game. And if you think about the story itself as only being about 2 to 3 hours, 3 hours is probably really generous. That means we went through these levels over and over again, just getting good. And we haven't even played on the hardest difficulty. We haven't even beat that and gotten S ranks on all of that. So there's still more to do. This game, if you put the time in, you are rewarded because you become really good at the game and really skilled at it. And that's what makes this game so good. On top of an amazing art style and art direction, amazing music, just absolutely fantastic. And the fact that you can play a multiplayer online with other people, this game was the absolute package that I was hoping it would be, and they certainly delivered. That's why it's number 3 on this list. Number 2 on the list is the other remake I was talking about, and that remake is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, I had no prior knowledge of Final Fantasy VII going into this. Only that one scene that has been plastered on the internet. Everybody knows it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you sweet summer child, don't be spoiled. Just wait for the next part whenever that scene is going to happen, because in this, we're talking about Midgar. In the original game, I've heard it's very short. In this game, it took me 60 hours to do, and I loved all 60 hours of it. Even though the pacing gets a little wonky sometimes, even though some things are not as good as other moments in the game, I loved the combat system, I loved the characters, I loved putting in all the time I did for 2 playthroughs of this game. It was incredible. And I think it's kind of sparked a love for Final Fantasy that I didn't think I would ever have. So I've gone back and played 15. And I've also purchased a couple of other Final Fantasy games that I'm planning to play. It's all thanks to this game. I really loved this game. I had a very difficult time deciding whether this was going to be my number 1 or my number 2. And the next game just barely beat this one out. So let's get into what it is. Number 1 is Ghost of Tsushima. This game, as far as I'm concerned, is required reading because it was an absolute great experience. Maybe not the most perfect experience when it comes to an open world game, but they did some things about the formula different, and then they added that signature sucker punch heart to it and made such a great experience to play. Jin is a fascinating character, and the world and characters around him are absolutely fascinating. The story, especially towards the second act and after that, just ramps up to a place that I wasn't expecting it to go. And it just really captured me at that point in the game. Admittedly, the game's a little bit slow in the beginning, and you're going to be spending a lot of time doing other stuff other than the main quest. So the story kind of gets shuffled into the experience and kind of goes a little bit unnoticed until you hit that second act. And then it hits you like a ton of bricks, like a train, and you are just hooked into finishing that game. I put the rest of the side quests down so I could finish the story. And the side quests themselves, a lot of them were great too, especially following the story paths of a lot of the characters and going through their own personal stories. And I really had a connection with them, and I wanted to see all of their tales to the very end. And they all were amazing. This game has an incredible storytelling aspect to it, and it's plopped into this open world that is absolutely gorgeous. Every place you go to is one of those moments where you just want to stop and look, maybe even pop open photo mode. I'm sure a lot of people's playtime in this game, half of it is photo mode, because the game is absolutely gorgeous and they really made the island of Tsushima look absolutely beautiful. And then on top of that, they dropped us with a free multiplayer mode that has no microtransactions. It's very replayable with the raids, and it's just something that we didn't expect and we didn't really deserve, to be honest. The single player experience was already worth the price of admission, and then they give us this multiplayer mode out of nowhere, which is also fantastic and leans into the mythological aspect that the single player didn't really want to chart that territory because it wanted to be grounded. So we got the best of both worlds, including single player and multiplayer, and this game absolutely deserves Game of the Year. For sure, you need to play this. This is a great game. But that's just my opinion, and now it's time for you guys to drop your top 5 in the comments down below. Just let me know what you think. What was your favorite game? What are your top 5? Include honorable mentions as well. Games you disliked. Just let me know down in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next video. My name is Josh. Thank you for watching, and peace out.